Hey, what is up guys? It's that time of year again. We're talking about the September 2013 ban list. Now this is really just a prediction video, but at the same time it's realistic, so keep that in mind. It's a realistic view of what could happen. And we're going to approach this with complete logic about the whole game, and my experience of the game in the last in the last, I don't know, 8 years has been that Konami really does listen to its fan base now and again, but at the same time it can make stupid decisions. So in the terms of them trying to get as much money as possible, they make stupid decisions. But we'll get into this, and we start with Jogan. Jogan is a card that needs to be banned. Konami does not like two things when it comes to their game. They do not like consistent first turn kills, which is we're talking about. If Harpy Dancer was consistent, they would emergency ban it. If Electrum one turn kill was consistent, ban it. It would get banned. There would be something to kill its consistency. Jogan is a card that will come out every turn first turn because of Spellbook Day of Judgment, and that gets done because Spellbook Secret, Spellbook Master, all these cards, just everything leads to a Jogan first turn. So that card could see getting itself banned. Jogan could see itself getting banned because it only gets run at 1 at the moment for a first turn lock, and they use it with Fate to back up, so you have to normal summon and then they banish, and then it just comes back, it just stays on the field. So it is a first turn lock, whatever way you look at it. Now Jogan could see itself not getting banned if Fate gets banned, which I would so much more prefer. If Fate got banned, the game would become 10 times better. Why? Because this card is a non-targeting quick play spell. Now, Safe Zone isn't going to protect the card. It's not going to protect you. You can target something else if you lance it. If you Infestation Pandemic, you'll just target one of your set cards. It is just a broken card, and it needs to not exist anymore. It shouldn't have existed in the first place, to be honest, but that's the naivety of Konami sometimes, as they make mistakes. But we'll move along. Judgment Day, Spellbook of Judgment, or Judgment Day is not going to get banned. I'm sorry, people, it's not getting banned. It produces too much revenue, and it is a new card, and it makes Spellbooks so much more playable. Now, I would love that Spellbook of Miracles get used. It's a TCG card that I've not seen that being used. I've tried to use this card, and compared to the Spellbooks with all the Fate spamming and shit like that, this card is nothing. This card is nothing. So these cards need to, spellbooks need to get something, need to have something to stop them from being this Fate spam, and focus more on what they were originally intended for, was spellcaster synchros and spellcaster XYZs. And that's what I hope the deck becomes like again. When it first started, that's what the deck was, and I loved the deck, and I know a lot of you did too. So we'll move along right onto Elemental Dragon. Super Rejuve. Holy Christ, who thought that this card was any good? Like, in the sense of good for the game. Like, draw a card for every card discarded. The only decks that are going to use this are Exodia and Elemental Dragons, cards that that want you to have a one turn kill, or a first turn kill, or a first turn lock, or an alternate win condition. These are the cards that need to not exist in Yu-Gi-Oh, and this card is going to get banned. It has to get banned. Light and Darkness Dragon, banned. There is nothing good about this game when first turn you have to set as many traps as you can. You have to set at least 2 traps in order to get that card off the field, or a quick play spell and a trap. Otherwise you're waiting until your next turn, in which case you could see yourself getting a 1-turn kill. The decks that abuse this card are things like Treeborn Frogs. The Frogs decks, Fish 1-turn kill, and Elemental Dragons, obviously. These decks all abuse this card, and right at the start, if you've got to get through 4 negations, or at least 3. It's usually about 3 to get it down to an attack where you can get over it with a normal level 4 monster. You have to use 3 of your resources to take that out, and he could just bring out another one the next turn. Now, most people would say you should be running Chalice or Breakthrough Skill, but how many times are you going to draw a Chalice or Breakthrough Skill in this format? This game used to be about traps, spells, and monster effects. Now it's all about monster effects. Anything you can do to negate a monster effect, you should be running traps and spells that negate monster effects, rather than traps that destroy other traps, or traps that protect your traps, or things like that. It has become a one-dimensional game where it's all about the monster effects, and that has to stop. It cannot exist like that anymore. So, Light and Darkness Dragon banned. Eradicator. If Fate gets banned, if Fate were to get banned, or if we see Fate get hit and Spellbook Secrets get hit, the crying from the community, Konami will predict the crying of the community that spellbooks were once a good deck and they paid out good money for the deck, and now with Eradicator still at 3, they are getting destroyed by Vers, by Evil Swarms or Dark Worlds or Discard, Crazy Box. Any generic level 4 deck can make this card, can make this XYZ, and then use Eradicator and tribute it. That is the reality of this. And Eradicator limited to 1 or banned. That is just what's going to happen. If spellbooks get hit, Eradicator gets hit. Gold Circle. This is one that I'm really torn on. Either you ban it or you limit it to 1. No decks use this, you know, in a really balanced way. Balanced. Sorry, I was lost in thought there. Balanced. Gold Circle is used for Necrofaces, is used for Elemental Dragons, is used for, you know, to get cards into a banish zone that shouldn't be there, that get effects when they get banished. That is what Gold Circle is used best for. Otherwise they would send them to the grave so that they can bring them back with a Call of the Haunted or something better. It's just, the card shouldn't exist, and it either needs to kill its consistency so that Elemental Dragons get buried into the graveyard, you know, the way that Trishula was, and that is the reality of this. Gold Circle to 1. These baby dragons, it's really hard to tell what you should do with baby dragons, because baby dragons only get run at 2. The baby dragons only get run at 2 in an Elemental Dragon deck. So the next thing to do, as the suggestion is, to put them to 1. I wouldn't say ban them. I really wouldn't say ban them. I would say limit them to 1. The adult dragons, have them at 3. I really don't care. People are saying that you should ban Tempest and ban Redox. I just think that Konami is not going to do that, because Incarnate or Suppressor or Elemental or Dragon Rulers, you know, all 4 names for that deck is too much money. It's too much money and too much revenue lost, and they need to just keep that revenue up. So the adult dragons not going to get hit. The baby dragons possibly limited to 1. Also mentioning that this card is a debris dragon target, and it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. So some of these cards are really broken in the sense that they can be targeted by other things, such as this being targeted by rekindling, etc, etc. So move on. Glow up bulb. You've had your time on the ban list. You've had your time. You've served your time. It is now time to bring back glow up bulb. It really is. It can only be used once per duel. What are you going to get from a level 1 tuner? People have such bad memories of this card. Really bad memories of this card allowing Quasar to come out first turn. Do you realise that in the first turn, if I bring out Quasar, these days it never even stays on the field for another turn, and sometimes it'll just get killed. It'll just get stole by a big eye. It will get taken because I can't protect it. I can't protect Quasar for more than 1 negation. And that's the reality of this. Is just you're not gonna break the game if you bring glow up bulb back. Send a top card of your deck to the graveyard, Light Sworns aren't as good as they used to be. Plants are nowhere near as good as they used to be. Plants aren't getting played. Nothing that is sent to the graveyard is getting effects that are really broken. Usually it's from the field to the graveyard or from the hand to the graveyard. So yeah, just bring Glow Up Bulb back to 1. Atlantean Dragoons again, 1. If Elemental Dragons and Spellbooks get hit, next on the list is Mermails. Mermails will be top tier if it doesn't get hit. It will be again the top tier, absolutely. And it needs to get hit. The one turn kills in this deck are unreal. It can one turn kills consistently, and it one turn kills more than Karakuri. So limit to 1, Dragoons to 1, Abystius to 1. This card is effing broke. It's so broke. It's add a level 1 Mermail to your hand while you're discarding the dragons. You just got a +2 and a card to the field, and it's a level 7 by the way. A level 7, so Abyssgaios if you want to, or you can go into Dragosack or Big Eye. Broke. Fuck that card, get it to 1. Either that or get Megalo to 1. Because I don't want to see Dragoons fishing out a Megalo. So yeah, 2-1, Abystius to 1. Fire Formation Tenki. People are split on this because they know that War Gods just came out, the Bujin cards just came out, and Shadow Spectres, more support. And Fire Fists are still good, and Fire Kings are good. This is reinforcement of the army, but it's MSTable. You can Mystical Space Typhoon this card and they won't get a search off. Any card can really stop this card from getting off its plays. So really, I wouldn't say ban it, I wouldn't say limit it, but if Konami really wanted to, they could semi-limit this card, and it could see getting semi-limited, just because people are complaining. People are complaining, and it might just get semi-limited, and I hope it doesn't, but what are you going to do? The reason that it might not get semi-limited is these next two cards, Thunder King Ryo and Mistake. I'm sorry people, Thunder King Ryo is going to be at 2, it stays at fucking 2. Why? Because it's a level 4, it's a light type, it's an honest target, it's Thunder, it's a 1900 attack. It's got 1900 fucking attack for a level 4. I'm sorry, it's level 4 and it has 1900 attack. Do you know that the only real things that can get over this are things like Photon Thrasher? And even then, Photon Thrasher can get stopped by a Thunder King Ryo. He could just tribute himself, and because it's an inherent special summon. It's just silly. You're not gonna get Thunder King Ryo back to 3 because Mistake is at 3, and it will stay at 3. That Mistake card, I don't see that ever getting any kind of hit on a ban list, just because it's a continuous trap and it needs to keep going. It needs to resolve for a start. And it's chainable. That's the other thing, is it's chainable. When I know a Thunder King Ryo is on the field, I can predict that I can't add cards to my hand. If you chain Mistake to a Tenki, I'm fucked. I'm not getting on a card to add to my hand. So, you might say that's Mystical Space Typhoonable, but I don't give a shit. Thunder King Ryo stays at 2, Mistake is at 3, so that stays at 2. Mermail. Mermails again with these two cards. If Abyssland is at 3, Sphere goes to 1. But if both cards went to 2, see Abyssland and Abyss Sphere, if they both went to 2, I would say that could be fairly balanced. I could say that that's fairly balanced, but at the same time, I would think that most people with Mermails wouldn't run more than 2 of these. But if the other predictions are correct with Atlantean Dragoons and Mermail Abystius, they will depend a lot more on Lind and Sphere, so they might run like this at 3 now. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure on this one, but I would say semi-limit Lind and possibly limit Sphere. Now, TG Striker. TG Striker has also served his time. He used to be the first turn Naturia, Barkion play. He used to be the sole reason why you would just hate everything to do with TGs, because he was used in non-TG decks. And really, he served his time, and Sure, he's a common lead target. He's got zero defense. He's a white. No, he's not. He's Earth. So, but yeah, he's really not that much of a. He's not that much of a threat. He's not a threat anymore. He's not anything to reckon with, and that's another reason why if spellbooks get hit, let's say spellbooks get hit, TG Striker is possibly likely to not get hit. I say that possibly only because people will not want to see Naturia Barkion plays. That's the reality of this. Is people will not want to see Naturia Barkion plays while they're playing a balanced spellbook deck. And once spellbooks come out and they're balanced again, I think I might pick up spellbooks again. But until that time, I'm not gonna play it. So yeah, Tsukiyomi. People are saying Tsukiyomi should come to 3. Tsukiyomi is not going to go to 3. Why? Because Spirit Deck just came out. Spirit Deck just came out. There is a really good saying for this deck, and that is, if something's not broke, don't fix it. And that is kind of how it is with like Dueling Network. If you guys remember, Dueling Network used to be you joined a lobby, people would join a lobby, and that is how you would duel, as you would join the lobby rather than it was a duel pool. Now the duel pool's in place and people are just complaining all the time simply because they're getting rated, dueled, paired with people who are like 500 below the rating, and they're just like, what the fuck is this shit? I should not be dueling this guy, and evidently he's using elemental dragons. He's 500 below me, I'm about to lose 20 points of rating, and he's using elemental dragons, so he might win. He actually might win because he's using a deck that everybody else is using. You know, if something's not broke, like Tsukiyomi, just don't fix it. Don't do anything to it. Leave it at 2. That leads me up to Debris Dragon. Debris Dragon is at 2. Leave it. Leave it at 2. You don't need to bring it to 3. There isn't a reason to bring it to 3. Just leave it at 2, and it's fine. It's absolutely fine the way it is. And there isn't many broken plays that you can do with Debris Dragon, but one of them is Dandelion. Dandelion, however, plants have no support. Plants suck. Plants are so bad at the moment. They have nothing. They have Dandelion. They have Lone Fire. They have the new level 8. Not the bloody sunflower card. Whatever card that is. There's a new plant card that is level 8 and it sucks a dick. It is the worst. It is you special any time that your plant type is destroyed, any other plant type on the field is destroyed, you can destroy an opponent's monster as well. That is the crappiest effect. I don't care if it has 2800 attack, it is the crappiest effect. And it shouldn't, I don't care what you say, it's just a bad card, and that is not support, that is just a gimmicky card that shouldn't be run in a plant deck. Now that being said, Dandelion should be at 2. Dandelion is a card, people will say, well, you can spam tokens and da 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 da, but really, what's Dandelion going to do? And how many cards can inflict piercing damage at the moment? If I summon a Dandelion with tokens that have 0 defense, what's going to happen? I'm going to get destroyed by Gaia, the Dragon Champion, or whatever it is, the XYZ card. I'm going to get absolutely destroyed by a rank 7 or even a rank 5. A rank 5 or 6 will get summoned to the field, and then he'll use its effect, and then he'll use the goddamn the XYZ's effect to special summon itself from the extra deck if it controls a rank 5 or a rank 6. And then I'll get piercing damage, which will be the full 2600 attack that I'll take right to the face. I'll take that much life points to the face just because I summoned a Dandelion. Dandelion ain't broke anymore. Bring it to 2. It really isn't. And if you want people to use that Tree Spirit XYZ card, you're going to need to have Dandelion at 2 at least. So next up we've got Compulsory Evacuation Device. Compulsory is a card that is really just getting main decked at the moment at 3. A lot of decks are just bringing this out and bringing it to 3 because they don't want to have the cards in the graveyard They won't use, like, they will use Torrential, but they'd prefer to use Compulsory if they can manage it. If if they could use compulsories at 4 and 5, they would start using compulsory at 4 and 5. But here's the deal: compulsory is a card that will bounce it back to the hand, or if it's from the extra deck, it'll put it into the extra deck. Now the deal is with this is elemental dragons put things into the activate effects from the grave. Now if you torrential a card like Dragosack, Tempest will banish that Dragosack to then summon itself to the field. You'll lose nothing. You'll lose absolutely nothing. But if you compulsory that, you can't banish. Can't banish a card, which means he's going to have to banish one of his other dragons, which means he's using resources. And resources he may not or may not get back. For things like spellbooks, spellcasters, they want spellcasters in the grave so they can use Spellbook of Life, or they can use Spellbook Tower. They'll keep using Spellbook Tower so that they can just keep drawing an extra card at the standby phase. Compulsory makes sure that they don't get that luxury. They have to use their normal summons. They have to, keep cards out of the grave, and compulsory is a great card for that. But I think it's time to put it to 2. I believe it should be put to 2. Tin Goldfish. Tin Goldfish is a card that is gonna probably get a lot of people worried. Why am I saying Tin Goldfish should be put to 2? The fact is about this is that this card is a machine type and it summons any level 4 monster from your hand. This card is the reason that most decks, level 4 spam decks, are getting off their effects and getting to, most people would say they're not getting very high in tournaments, but I would say that they could get high in tournaments if the changes to the meta are made. If Elemental Dragon spellbooks and Mermails are hit. Did I say Elemental? Yeah, I did. I said all 3. And if Vers were hit as well, then Tin Goldfish could, the whole gadget deck, the whole Gear Gaia Machina or Gadget Machina deck could actually see a lot of play between Tin Goldfish and Kageto Kage. It really could see first turn Shockmasters left, right, and centre, and that is probably not going to be good for the game. So kill its consistency, bring it to 2, and you should be fine. We'll get into the extra deck a little bit here. Big Eye banned. I don't even need to tell you why Big Eye needs banned, but Goyo is a far more balanced card. Even though it has higher attack, it is a far more balanced card because it has to attack. It must attack to get its effect. And then it has to be, if it's an XYZ monster, XYZ materials don't come back after you've destroyed a monster and sent it to the graveyard. You'll only summon the XYZ card. And in the sense that between if Goyo destroyed a Big Eye would not get its effect, but if Goyo destroyed a Dragosack and brought it back, Dragosack could get its effect, which is fair enough, but most XYZ cards don't get away with that. Most XYZ cards can't get away with that. So Big Eye banned. Dragosack limited or semi-limited. I would say semi-limited because it's needed by Mecha Phantom Beast crafts. It really is needed by Mecha Phantom Beasts. So, keep that. Keep it at semi-limited. Ophion is a really tough subject at the minute. How would you like your entire deck locked down by just one card? Because Jogan is doing that for a lot of decks right now, and people hate Jogan. Ophion does that for every single Synchro deck. Blue Eyes decks can't bring out their Blue Eyes. What else have we got that's coming out recently? Vampire decks. Vampire decks can't bring out their Vampire Hunter or whatever it is. What's it called? The Shadow Knight Vampire, whatever his name is, Vampire Knight. They can't bring that out because you can't special summon a level 5 or higher monster. You can normal summon one, but you can't special summon one, so what's the point? So really what comes down to is Evil Swarm Ophion needs to get hit to 1. I'm not saying ban it. I really wouldn't say ban it. I mean, there's really no reason to, and it is the main searcher for their infestation spell or trap cards, but the whole recycling thing of constantly bringing out an Evil Swarm Ophion every single turn, make Evil Swarms have to use Pot of Duplicity if they want to keep using the Evil Swarms every turn. Make them skip their battle phase with Pot of Duplicity. Absolutely. Next up, when it comes to Ophion stopping things, locking things down, Blader is doing a lot of that right now. Blader is doing that so much, and Konami, I don't think predicted that. I'm not sure if they did predict that. Possibly they were, rubbing their hands and cackling in their executive board meetings, going, well, TCG just got Crimson Blader. We're going to make a hell of a lot of money from Crimson Blader if we make it spammable. But that's what's happening right at the minute. Is Crimson Blader is getting summoned more than Stardust was getting summoned back in the day. So lock down your opponent for a turn and destroy a monster by battle and send it to the graveyard. Blader could see itself getting limited to 1. It could get limited to 1, and really most decks shouldn't be needing to run it more than 1. I would say most decks shouldn't run a Blader more than at 1. Because if it's Elemental Dragons will banish it, and then that's the only Blader they'll have in that deck. For other decks, they won't banish it from the grave, they'll bring it back with things like Fire King's Fire Circle and things like that. So possibly limit Blader to 1. I would, if you're going to touch Ophion, if you're going to limit Ophion, limit Blader. Goyo Guardian, as said, not as broken as Big Eye. So if Big Eye is at 1, Goyo should fucking be at 1. Goyo should be at 1. If Big Eye is banned, I don't know, maybe leave Goyo banned, but I would still say Goyo deserves to be at 1. It's just, you can say it's a throwback of the Synchro era, but it's not broken. You can stop its attacks, you can Mirror Force, you can Dimensional Prison, you can use Compulsories at 3. I mean, Jesus Christ, you can use a bunch of stuff to stop a Goyo Guardian. So, just unban it, bring it to 1, see what it does, and if it becomes broken, then just ban it again. No reason to keep a card that's broken, but it's not broken at the moment when it comes to Big Eye. Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. The last one on the list is the one that's most controversial, obviously, because Trishula is a card that is, everybody hates or hated Trishula Loop. Everybody hated Trishula Loop, but at the same time, Trishula Loop does not exist anymore. It doesn't exist. There is no Trishula Loop anymore because Bryonic is dead. You would have a hard time making a Trishula Loop at this moment in time. I would say it would be almost impossible to make one. I'm sure someone could find a way, but I'm sorry, unban it. See where it leads to, because generic, level 9s, generic level 9 synchros, hard to come by, and really, this card is not that bad. This card isn't that bad. Sure, you can say that it banishes 3 cards, one from the grave, one from the hand, one from the field. Really, what do you lose? What do you lose? Because you've just had to use 3 monsters to summon that, and read the thing. It says 1 tuner and 2 non-tuner, 2 or more non-tuners. You're still using 3 cards to summon this fucker. It uses a lot of resources, and the effect is definitely deserving of that. So I'd say bring it to 1. I really would say bring it to 1, and its attack isn't too bad either. It's 2,700. It is not over the top on attack. So see where it leads, bring it to 1. But that's been my realistic ban list predictions, guys. In a month or two, in a month or so, we'll see how it was and what happens in the thing. Leave a comment below. Maybe there's things that you disagree on, but really, most of this is pretty balanced. It's a balanced look on the ban list. I'm trying to bring balance here, not breaking the game. Goyo's Trishilla's don't break the game. It's broken plays within a game, but it's not it's not unbalanced like spellbooks are or elemental dragons are. That's why these need to get hit really badly and right now. So comment, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.